I'll call to order the regular meeting of the City of Aransas Pass, City Council, April 3rd, 2023 at 5:30 p.m. Let's all rise for the invocation and pledge of allegiance.
Heavenly Father, thank you, my Father, for the blessings that you have bestowed upon each and every one of us. As we go into Holy Week, my Father, that we remember the sacrifice that your Son, Jesus Christ, did for us. You showed your love for us, whether we accept it or not. You loved us, and it was shown through the sacrifice of your Son, Jesus Christ. Thank you, my Father, for the council and our department heads. We ask, my Father, your blessings upon us, that you guide us, that we make the right decisions for the residents of Aransas Pass. This I ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we're going to go to presentations and proclamations. Proclamations, something like that. Anyway, one day I'll learn how to read. And it is update on grant funds from Melanie Cooper, San Patricio County.
Good afternoon. How are you guys doing today? Can you hear me?
Great.
Okay.
Good.
I'm with San Patricio County. I work in the grants department. I work under the judge with the grants department. So we have put this together. It's a newly developed department, which we have been there for about 7 or 8 months. So we're working on a lot of that organization. And within the county, I would love to work with any city to help them with funding obligations. I'm here today to specifically ask for a call for projects. If you guys have additional projects that need funding, and specifically we're going to speak of the GOMESA funding. It is a funding that the county receives. We had it allocated for another project. Right now that money is unallocated. So if you have any coastal restoration projects or additional projects like that, if you could put in your project submissions, which is just, I need just a brief description of the funding you're looking at and what area you're looking at funding, that long, and then from there, I will take it from there and we'll look at the eligibility and I'll work with you guys on getting that funded. So I just want to let y'all know that. Is there any other questions?
This would be great for that boardwalk project. And any enhancements to the parks or Lighthouse Lake Trails.
So if we can just get the basic project elements, and also with the, the hazardous mitigation plan is going to be updated too. That's another source of finding additional funding for the city as well. If you have any additional drainage projects, excuse me, or mitigation projects that you see need to be, just put that in a little format so we can consider that, because if something is to happen, a lot of times those are the first projects funded out the door. So it's just really a call to gather your projects, and I'd like to try and get anything funded I can and help in any way. An example is I was working with the navigation district, and we were able to get them the dredging of the channel over there funded, and that was about $1 million project. And they sent me a list of projects, what they were looking for, and I was able to take our resources and look and see what we had, and we were able to get that project funded, which should be, I believe the kickoff, it's in GLO review, it should be kicking off within a year. So if you guys could submit those projects to me, I will work with you, and we will try and get everything funded and get it moving forward.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Okay, now we're going to go to the consent agenda. All of the following items on the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the City Council and will be enacted with one motion. There will be no separate discussion of this item unless a council member so requests. If discussion is desired, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda for the regular meeting March 6th.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, now we're going to go to the city manager, which is consider and act and approving an agreement with David Petty, Economic Development LLC for economic development professional services for a 1-year period.
Mr. Mayor and Council, you have before.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Mr. Pettit?
Yes.
Okay, I'm calling you from the Aransas Past Council meeting, and the council has reached your item.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Pettit, this is Gary Edwards. We've talked several times, and I'm explaining to the council right now what this is about, but they should know already with information that has been sent to the council. And you gave a presentation to the council a few months ago, and we appreciate that. But what you have before you is an agreement to bring Mr. Pettit on board to start the process of working with us on a TERS. That's a tax increment type of financing vehicle for undeveloped lands. We want to initially use it and high prioritize the LWR. The developers are asking for that actually, and it's something that we probably want to expand from there. That would not be the only site. That's the thinking at this point anyway. But I don't know if you have any questions related to the agreement. Wanted Mr. David Pettit, who's on the line there, to be available in case there are any questions related to the TERS. TERS, of course, is something that is used quite frequently throughout Texas, throughout the nation actually. It's called different things in different states. But it's something that has proven to be a very effective and a very effective vehicle for development. So if you're open to adopting this will be the city's first TERS. Many cities have gone before us and adopted TERS for development, and we have not yet. So this is something that is for your consideration. And as I said, we anticipate possibly expanding it from the LWR project, which the developers are requesting. Any questions of me, or more specifically of Mr. Pettit on the TERS?
I guess mine would be for you. Who's going to initiate a TIF to get this TERS district kicked off?
Well, it has to be the city. If that's your question, I can't.
Well, I think no, because a developer has to create a TIF. It wouldn't be the city; it would be a developer. Am I correct? What was his name on the line?
Mr. Pettit.
David Pettit. I'd be happy to answer that question. There are two ways to create a TIF or to initiate a TIF. The most common throughout the state of Texas is for the city to initiate a TIF. There is a way that the developer can initiate a TIF, but they have to own 51% of the property and submit a petition to the city. And if you do that, you also have to have your state senator and your state rep. So most cities go with the city-initiated TIF versus the property owner petition TIF, but it's really just a policy choice of the council.
Okay.
I was just wondering if he could give us the, just a brief explanation of what this program is, so for the ones that are in the chamber, they can understand?
Absolutely. Mr. Pettit, I don't know if you heard that or not, but Councilwoman Abrego is asking that you give a brief overview
Correct.
of the TERS program and what it entails and its purpose, et cetera, as a reminder to the presentation that you gave a couple of months ago or so.
Happy to do so. Under the proposal that we have is we would be your guide and your fiduciary to walk you through, as slowly or as quickly as you would like to go through the process. But essentially a TIF, if you think of it this way, it's allowed under Texas Tax Code Chapter 311, and it affords a city to basically draw a boundary around a piece of property and say, we are comfortable collecting a baseline of taxes, and any new taxes that generate, whether that property is going from tax exempt to taxable, or there is vertical construction, that a portion of that or all of that goes into a specific fund and funds public improvements primarily within that area. So basically, instead of going through your general fund process, you are establishing a district that is self-funding itself. Now, also being within a tax increment reinvestment zone affords several special provisions. One is that you can do a direct sale of land under Chapter 272 of the Local Government Code without doing public bid. There's 8 exceptions to the public bid requirements, and being in a TERS is one of those. Also, being in a TERS allows the city to do 380 grants, but essentially it's taking a piece of property that is underdeveloped, undeveloped, vacant. You can also use these in downtowns. You can use these in other areas, but essentially, if you think of greenfield properties or properties that have some difficulty, this is a way for those funds, and they pay taxes just like anybody else pays taxes within the city. It's just that their taxes are going into a special fund that is governed by the TIF board and the city council, and is spent on projects that are for the betterment of that piece of property. And they're essentially for public improvement, environmental cleanup, public infrastructure. Those type of things are very common costs that fall within a TERS. The last thing I'll leave you with is there's 2 main documents that make up a TERS. One is the TERS creation ordinance, and what that requires is a public hearing notice, and that establishes the boundary of the TERS, the term, the city's participation. It establishes the TERS board, and it also establishes a preliminary project and financing plan. Basically, how do you plan on spending those dollars? Once that has been adopted, in the year that that's adopted, that's the base year. So if you were to adopt that in 2023, the base year would be January 1, 2023. In the future, if that property ever becomes taxable, when that becomes taxable, just the property itself will be paying taxes, would go into that fund. And then if anything goes vertical, that would go into that fund. But we also like to say that these are pay-as-you-go. The developer is taking the risk, and it's performance-based. So if the developer performs per what they've said they're going to perform, then they get an opportunity to get those taxes back for eligible public infrastructure. The second piece is a final project and financing plan. Basically, once all the plans kind of get submitted, there's a separate ordinance that does not require a public hearing, but it is just a separate ordinance that finalizes the project and financing plan. And the way we write those is to basically list the eligible expenses that are allowed under the TIF statute, which is Chapter 311 of the tax code. So in essence, that's a TIF. Basically, it's a boundary with a piece of property you're dedicating, and you can set that term for however long you like, or whenever you exceed or you meet the projected cap that you would like to put in there. So there's a number of belts and suspenders that we would walk you through in making sure that the city's money is used wisely. But that's what we do across the state, and we're here to be your fiduciary and help you through the process.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions?
I think if we get them on board, we're going to look at quite a few areas in town where we could possibly do this, right? Okay.
Any questions from everybody else? Okay. Favor of the council?
I make a motion to approve an agreement with David Pettit Economic Development LLC for economic development professional services for a 1-year period.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? So we're gonna go to consider an act on resolution supporting legislation during the 88th Texas Legislative Session related to the composition of the Port of Corpus Christi Authority Commission and other matters related to the governance of the Port of Corpus Christi Authority.
Mayor and council, this proposed legislation is being presented to every city within San Patricio County. One of the things it would do, if approved by you, is San Patricio would be requesting more representation on the Port Authority Board. It's something that was attempted in the last legislative session, and so it is occurring again today with this legislation and legislation throughout the county and all the cities. If you're so inclined, this information will be sent to San Patricio County and all the parties involved, so that Austin will understand how important it is, and the Port Authority, how important it is to have strengthened representation on the Port Authority Board.
Absolutely. That's
We
true.
do need to be represented.
Make a motion to act on a resolution supporting legislation during the 88th Texas Legislative Session related to the composition of the Port of Corpus Christi Authority Commission and other matters related to the governance of the Port of Corpus Christi Authority.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Now we're gonna go to community enrichment. Consider enacting and approving the use of the land adjoining City Hall for the purpose of a community garden for at least 3 years with the ability to request renewal at the end of the time frame.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is an item that we have recently reviewed in a workshop meeting before each of you. It is regarding the City of Aransas Pass initiating a community garden. The purpose of this garden is to provide a location for our community members to have the resources that they may or may not have to have access to their own fresh consumable produce or vegetables, if you will, that they can share those, they can utilize those individually. It also provides a wonderful platform for educational purposes. Overall, this is a fabulous tool to emphasize healthy living, being out of doors, being physically active, and just in general well-being and health. And so communities where these gardens are present, it's a wonderful commodity. And so this is certainly something that our residents have a huge value in and for quite some time have been interested in. And then with the positive feedback that we got at the workshop meeting, we would like to formally request the use for this location next to City Hall.
Ms. Carroll?
Carol Salinas, I'm a resident of Aransas Pass. I spoke up at the workshop. I'm going to ask again. This garden is a great idea, but once that land is disturbed, how are you, in 3 years, are you absolutely sure you're going to have someone who's willing to maintain it? Once the ground is disturbed, you've got lots of weeds and stickers, grass burrs. And also, I don't have my packet with me, but I thought I read in there that they were going to be each individual plot surrounded by a 7-foot fence. Is that correct?
No.
Okay, because 7 foot would be, I really think that was in the packet. If
If I may, I'd love to clarify.
Thank you.
I think what you were referencing there, I went ahead and attached our guidelines, and that's just for whoever would like to enter into use for each of those plots. It's requesting that nothing be built in your plot that's 7 feet or taller. So if you're going to put a lattice, if you have something that's a climbing plant, it needs to stay within a certain height.
Okay.
So that it would be raised garden beds, and so those only come up about a foot and a half. And so from there on, once you, let's say you leased a garden, we would say it's your space, please maintain it, just make sure that it's a safe area. Anything over that, we start to get concerned about wind, we start to get concerned about it toppling over.
Correct.
So that's the reference to that.
Okay, well, and not over 7 feet is great, but I think when you start putting even a 6.5 foot or 6 foot solid barrier around each plot, you're getting a wind hazard.
So we wouldn't be putting those in there if someone wanted to put like a T-post to put a shade structure.
Right.
So that's what it was referencing.
Okay, but that might need to be clarified, because the way I read it, and I don't always read it correct, but it did sound like it could be a solid petition around each plot, up to around 7 feet. And we're hurricane Hurricane Alley. That would be really kind of a hazard.
Yes,
Okay.
thank you for that
My
feedback.
comment, thank
We
you.
could absolutely add a little more courage.
Hector Rios, 1044 South Commercial. I'd just like to say that I'm totally, would love to have this. This is wonderful. It'd be a great, great improvement on our north side, which has had very few improvements in the past couple of years. And if you're going to still stay at that same rate of $20 per, did you stick with that rate that we were discussing?
Yes, yes.
Okay, then you can count me in for that donation. I just want to make sure that's on public record. Thank you so much.
Any other questions? In favor of the council?
I make a motion to approve the use of the land adjoining City Hall for the purpose of a community garden for at least 3 years with the ability to request renewal at the end of the time frame.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna go
Thanks,
to
Cameron.
Development Services, which is consider an act in approving the placement of the fence at the softball complex at 300 East Johnson Avenue as stated in Article 3 of the facility license agreement with with Roland Pena, not David.
Not David, yeah. I don't need an agreement.
My bad.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Gary, do you have that map attachment? Mary, do you know can you show that?
Yeah, hold on.
We do have Mr. Roland Pena here. If you have any questions, basically, I'll let him explain why he's requesting this, and as long as the map comes up, there it is. So is that correct, Roland?
That's
The way you're
correct.
requesting it?
Good afternoon, Mayor, council members. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, as the red line is stated there, that's where we want to put the fence, because it has a area with there's grass where I can actually make the fence, the gate at least 16 foot, make it a double gate. Anyway, I want to make it at least 4 or 5 foot. I don't want to make it 6. That way it looks more like a prison, you know what I'm saying? We want to make it kind of low, that it's actual just containing people just to funnel them towards the front where the sidewalk's at. To kind of come in, we can kind of monitor the traffic coming in, the ice chest, stuff like that. And y'all got any questions on this? I know this is the second time I've been up here since the last go around.
No.
So I'm just concerned about so you want a fence that goes across the parking lot?
Yeah, a gate, not a fence, it's a gate. It's gonna be open all through the day. The only time it's gonna be shut is during league night, which is from 7 to 10.
Okay, so that'll just be a big double gate or something?
Yeah, double gate.
Oh.
I'll put wheels on it. I'll build it myself. It's gonna be,
Okay. Okay.
chain link, 4 or 5 foot. I'd rather do the 4. It'll set back probably 4 feet from if you look at where the cars park, it'll set away from it where the cars can't pull up to it and hit it. You'll have a space in between the parking lot and the grass itself, about 4 feet.
He's trying to gain control of the people bringing in ice chests and all that kind of stuff coming into that part.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I'm
why
having
he
a
wants
problem
to
with
control
it. That's
that.
why it's what I
That
brought
part
to
of
your
it,
attention.
because that's the dark side of the field over there.
I have a question on that. Would that interfere at all with the pool traffic?
The only time we interfere the pool if they have a late night outing, sometimes in the
That's what
summertime,
I
you
was
might have something late at night till 10 o'clock. But most of the time, the pool doesn't get that packed. They got plenty of parking. Every once in a while in the summertime, but we are not gonna do anything in the summertime. It'll only be during the adult league. You know what I'm saying, which is from 7 to 10. And after it's 10 o'clock, it's gonna be open back up. Actually, I was telling Ramita, we don't even have to put a lock on it. I just wanna kinda just veer them off the state. They can come down the sidewalk from the front. That way we can monitor it. Somebody can sit there on top, on the upper deck and watch them coming in. They can pretty much monitor from up there, or I can have somebody stand at the gate. That's the only place. The other side of the softball field is not gonna have any gate. It's just gonna be wide open. But what I have a problem is that one side over there. That's what I'm having a problem with.
Now, you had mentioned that, so you will have no Saturday games?
No, I'm just saying.
No, the reason why I'm saying is because Saturday during the summertime is usually packed.
Yeah.
And if you're going to be having, any kind of games during a Saturday, during the day, it for sure is going to interfere
Yeah, on
with
Saturday.
the pool.
We won't do this. The problem I'm having with is the workers and the night people that work in this area here. They're the ones that, and a lot of them, it's kind of a language barrier there. They don't. I got 2 people that work consistent. They don't speak but English. The guys, I got like 4 teams out there from the valley, and a lot of them, they bring stuff, and it's hard communicating with them if you don't speak Spanish, because a lot of them just speak Spanish. They don't even understand English. So they're having it's a English and Spanish. I mean, it's a barrier there with the language also. You know what I'm saying? So. It just helps contain it, and you can, it's just, we're not blocking any people from not going in there. They're able to come in on the sidewalk. They don't have to cut through the grass. They'll have the sidewalk, they'll come into the cement area. We're not keeping people from going. We're just trying to be on a safe side. you
I
know.
understand your point, but I want Caitlin to
Yes,
speak
go
on it
ahead.
as far as the pool is concerned.
If I can ask.
Go ahead and go.
Yes.
What days or hours were you wanting to close
We-
it off?
we-
Because we do kind of fill that up a lot, so.
I've been there 20 years. They ain't filled up that much.
This last season, it's been pretty
Y'all
full
were
out
lucky that
there.
year, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Most up here, the people park here. Barry, you'll have 5 or 6 cars that park here. Most of the people, right, the trees are not here anymore, but most of them park over here. I'm trying to keep them, right here with the sidewalk.
So I do understand, we're not unfamiliar with mischievous folks on that
Yeah.
fence side, so we do understand. I'm just curious, what are the days and times that you would look at?
Right now, we're playing Monday, have men's on Mondays and Tuesdays. I'm working on a co-ed right now, which will, excuse me, take that back. Monday and Wednesday, we have men's. We got 12 teams out of 6 on Monday and 6 on Wednesday.
And it's evenings?
Yeah, even from 7 to 10 o'clock. And then we're trying to promote right now co-ed to start back up again, so that'll be a Tuesday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Okay.
Very seldom Thursday, we'll have a makeup game if we get rained out or something on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Whichever team gets rained out, we'll play on that Thursday. And if we get that bad, we'll have one on weekends to catch up. You know, 'cause sometimes we'll get a rainy season, it'll rain for 2 or 3 weeks, and we won't get to play for a whole month almost, so.
Sure.
it kinda
It's the
sets it back.
weekends, the Friday, Saturday,
Yeah.
Sunday, that is my main concern.
That's mine too.
Thursdays, they're busy, but I can still see us getting away with.
Yeah, mostly my games are on Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays. Yeah, like I say, Thursday's usually a makeup day.
And you said you're not so worried about a lock, just in the event we needed to get through there.
Yeah, see, 'cause like at night, if there's no more traffic out here, I can always, put cones right here, if nobody's there, I can put the cones here, that way I can see them coming in. But like I said, the problem I've had was the trees right up there, they park with their trucks and stuff, and they're leaving a lot of bottles. That's one of my main concerns, in the stands, they're leaving bottles, the wind was blowing 30 miles, well, maybe when I take a look, it was blowing like 40 miles an hour. Blows bottles
It always
down,
does.
hits the cement, and they got kids playing underneath the bleachers, they fall, and who's liable? I am.
So
So
if
I'm trying to prevent that also.
there is a section of the fence where it closes off the parking space and it goes through the pool itself.
Yes, right, what are you talking about, this is, see that piece
On
right
the
there?
opposite.
Right there, right there. Right there, I'm gonna put a gate. There'll be a gate, see, there'll be a fence that goes for the red line there, and there'll be a gate right there, 4 or 5 foot gate, and then right here we'll have the double gate.
So if we needed to have, because I've got crews that go out here, you know, to do the maintenance, the lawn care, that kind of stuff, so will we still have access to
Yeah,
it at any time?
it's not gonna be closed only on night. I'm not sure you're not gonna cut the grass at night.
Well, no, but there's still a structure there,
Yeah,
so
no,
if I
if-
needed to.
If you need a key,
equipment,
if we
I
do lock
needed
up for
to-
some particular reason, if you need a key, I'll give you a key. I will give one to the city.
Okay,
The
I
city
just
can
wanted
have-
to make sure we could access.
Yeah, y'all have access to it.
Okay, those are my questions.
Yeah, and then if that's, if for some reason you don't have a key, the concession will have one upstairs.
Thank you
I'll work
so
with you
much.
if I can. Any other questions?
Just don't.
Hector?
There's
Hector?
Oh, sorry.
Hector Rios, 1044 South Commercial. I was thinking maybe it could possibly be a little bit of an asset for maybe events when we have real small children, that we can close them gates and only allow, you know, just enough for personnel to walk through, and then it could keep traffic from going back there, because it looks like it's maybe about 30 spots. So that's a pretty nice area, or maybe even possibly like a food truck event that we would want to kind of close off. So it could be possibly a plus, is what I'm getting at, having that to where it can lock off and have separate events back there that might benefit the community also. So I just wanted to throw that in there.
Yeah.
I'm in agreement with it.
And if it doesn't work, we'll just take it off. He's paying for it. I'm just
Hey,
saying.
that's right, take it off, it don't work.
Yeah. My main concern was affecting the
Yeah,
pool.
no, like I said,
And you said something about makeup on Saturday,
Yeah,
makeup
every
games
once in a
on
while, I put in for like, we have a tournament and stuff, like I want to start having some for the kids and stuff eventually, like tournaments and stuff. That's, I don't want to block it off, I have access to the pool. I mean, it kind of gives the tournament plus the kids, you know,
Right, go
kind
to
of.
the pool and things like that,
Yeah,
yeah.
my main concern is, the adults right now, bottles. That's the one I'm having problems with right now, the bottles and ice chests. And that's the only way I can, without having to have a high overhead, and have to pay more people to monitor all this, that's the only way I see, and I'm paying for it, so it's, you know, it's not gonna cost the city a thing. And like I said, if it don't work out, we'll take it out.
And then hopefully, as we progress in the Parks and Rec department, we want to support those efforts for tournaments and stuff, so as long as that
Yeah.
communication there for those.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, like, we
With
did
no
have
lot.
tournaments out there,
No
it
lot.
didn't work out very well with the
Of
pool.
course.
That way they can put it whatever.
Yeah, that's right.
Compatible
Yeah.
with the pool.
There's a mixture on that.
He would have to tie the fence and butt up to the black wrought iron gate for the aquatic center too to actually accomplish the goal. There are other non-invasive alternatives. Also, there's barricading. There's you have barricades out there, cones or things of that sort, where just other alternatives that we can do that are not so permanent, as you can say.
Any other questions? Favor of the council?
I move to approve the placement of the fence at the softball complex at 300 East Johnson Avenue as stated in Article 3 of the facility license agreement with Roland Pena.
Do a second.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, now we're gonna go to consider and act on ordinance amending the City of Aransas Pass Code of Ordinance by amending Chapter 24, Plating and Subdivision, Section 24-7, Standards Manual to update the city standards manual based on current sound engineering practices and available technologies for the development, design, and construction of a on projects providing a savings and severability clause, providing for publication and an effective date.
Hello, Council. This is basically just to update our documents and to basically meet current engineering standards. Basically, there's two major items we're changing. Nobody uses caliche anymore. Caliche is kind of back in the old days. Now we use limestone. So basically, on the standard drawings and the standards manuals, we're changing anything with caliche into limestone. Another thing is the 6x6 wire mesh. They call that hog fence. We don't put hog fence anymore. It worked back in the day, and then they proved it didn't. So now we're just converting all of that back to number 4 rebar, which is half-inch rebar. So those are the two major items we're changing on these documents.
So it'll be number 4 instead of number 3? I mean, I know you're talking about the wire mass, but number 4?
Number 4, half-inch rebar, correct.
And spaced every foot?
12 inches
12 inches.
on center each way.
Okay.
I make a motion to approve the revised standard drawings and standard manual.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, now, we're gonna go to public safety, and I believe we're gonna table this.
Yes, this item is not completely ready for you yet. It'll come back next time.
He wants it tabled?
Yes.
I make a motion to table this item.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, now we're gonna go to city council and staff announcements, and we're gonna go to a response to recent reported complaints.
Yes, if I could address that, Mayor. First, I want to point out, those are the items at this point we have scheduled for the work session on the 24th, just for everybody's information. At the last council meeting, issues were brought up where complaints had been made to an individual, and staff moved forward per council's direction to look into it further and see what we found out. Only first names were used, and we are in a position to talk about some of the items. Some are still being looked into, but in the case of Gail, for example, we have the last name. We're not going to use the last name either, since that was followed at the last meeting. It's alleged that this person's trailer raided by police and code enforcement for many violations resulting from findings, and a printout was done showing all the violations that had been that were in place back in 2017. A plea was offered of no contest, and but the court opted to dismiss all charges after this person came into compliance. It appears the enforcement effort worked, and the unsafe conditions were corrected through compliance. The other first name is Juan, and again, we know who it is, but we will not use the last name. This person is known to the city because of years of code violations, and all code enforced violations were ultimately dismissed for compliance. Only 2 of the violations, and they were highlighted in attached information, resulted in fines that were paid, but again, they were dismissed after he completed his deferred sentence and paid his deferred sentence fee. Once again, the process of code enforcement and the method we instituted seemed to work by design, which is gaining compliance, which is the ultimate goal here. In the case of Thomas, we can find no evidence in support of him being harassed by the police department or city staff, at least not in the PD, nor by our PD code compliance during that time. In fact, we have personally worked and gone out of our way on a private matter to assist this person, so not entirely sure if there is a real issue there or not. Seemed to be pleased with our efforts when we were in contact with this person. There was also a Leon, worked for the city, but was terminated for trying to get a city official to fix his property. We've looked several years back. We can find no Leon who worked for the city. We'll continue looking, but we can find no such person, at least as of this moment. And the other issues, still looking into, and there's one other issue, I think, but don't have an answer on that yet. So.
Thank you, sir. Okay, now we're gonna go to special meetings for Monday, April 24th, 2023.
Oh, okay. That's what I was talking about earlier, the work session / special meeting. And those are the items that will be talked about. Plus, there will be another item that requires action, I believe, which makes it a special meeting. So, if that's what you're talking about, Mayor.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, the special meeting Monday night. Okay, now, we're gonna go to citizen comments. Citizen comments are intended for the matter that are not scheduled on the agenda. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes and state your name and address for the record. Be advised that the Texas Open Meeting Act prohibits the city council from responding and discussing your comments. The law authorizes the following: make a statement of factual information, recite existing policy, advise that this subject may be placed on the agenda for a subsequent meeting.
Hey, Jason Followill again. Good to see you guys. If you would, I would like to be put on a workshop to talk about everybody you just talked about, because I can bring them all here and they'll rebuttal everything you just said. I have no problem bringing them here. They're getting more brave now than everybody's coming out and talk. Smile all you want, Gary. I can do it if you set it up. And I know you'll refuse, but somebody on this council can do it, and I can bring citizens up here that'll call you a liar to your face and tell you what really happened. Now, what I'm here for, though, I'd like to talk about the mother that in the bus incident from last week. So I've had a lot of people call me, witnesses call me. A school bus on 8th Street, basically, she was there to pick up her kids. School bus was passing her up. She flagged him down. Now, in flagging him down, she did step in front of the bus. So she flagged him down, stepped in front of the bus, waved at the bus, wanted to get her kids off the bus. Then her and her mother walked to 7th Street, where the bus driver let them off. Now, the bus driver did call the school, and the school did call APP, PD, so the police force, right? The bus driver did the right thing by calling. Now, the mother got her kids off the bus. The mother's walking with her kids, and police officers show up, and allegedly the story goes that she had a kid in her hand. The cops tried to talk to her. She didn't want to talk to them. The cops took the kid away from the mother. There was a tussle, and then unfortunately that mother was tased. Okay, so what I want to get at is you put it at as misdemeanor unlawful restraint. In order to have an unlawful restraint, that is Penal Code 20.22, which is unlawful restraint. There's speculations in there, so that code doesn't apply if she's trying to get her kids. She was trying to get her kids. I don't understand why you would put that on her. Also in that code, it says a defense to the attorney is that she had to physically restrain those people, kids, or force them from getting in and off the bus, in which at any time they can open the door and get off the bus. How did you put unlawful restraint charges on a mother with no criminal record? We would like to know. The entire town wants to know. So I think this is handled poorly. I think we need some education, Mr. Blanchard, on de-escalating situations and what constitutional rights mean. I think you should be a part of that and maybe run that program. If you can't, Gary, I highly suggest you take care of your peer and you do something about it. The entire town is talking about this, and it's an embarrassment. If you can't do it, Ram, they all work for you. Do something about it. Y'all had an executive session about a code violation to my gym, but you can't have an executive session about a lady that was tased in town? Come on. And I know you know I'm right. Do something about it. It's terrible. Joe Dominguez, I don't know you. I would like to know you. Jason knows me. He's got my number. I'd like to talk to you. You're running the campaign right now, and your campaign signs are with his and hers. Both of these individuals pleaded the Fifth in the annexation. Did you know that? Annexation and a Fifth Amendment means that they're hiding something. They don't want to talk about it. It's on the documentation. The same annexation that this woman right here cost us $1.8 million. I highly suggest you separate from them and call me. Thank you. Jason, follow up.
Terrible. Any other comments?
Go ahead. I didn't plead the Fifth. I didn't plead the Fifth. I don't know what he's talking about.
Hector Rios, 1044 South Commercial. I'd like to, yes.
Hang on.
Ma'am?
Hang on.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Sorry about that, sorry.
Go ahead, yes, sir.
So in response to that, we did feel a need to put information out immediately, Council, about the school bus event. In fact, I'd been in communication with the school themselves as well about that event with Kara and her team. The way that the report, again, covering the media release came out, and you got to keep in mind that this happened just days after another school massacre. But the way that this situation came out was that a truck was blocking, or a vehicle was blocking the school bus. Officers then started responding to the situation. Immediately, the first thought that came to my mind when I heard the dispatch was, now they're going to start targeting school buses, because that is a vulnerability that we're trying to focus on at this point. They then clarified that it was a individual female that was blocking the bus. The officer showed up. Officer Valdez, I think, was the first one. If you know Officer Valdez, he's very disarming just by his contact. He's a very mild-mannered, great officer. He tried to communicate with the female. The female did not want to have anything to do. She was upset, clearly. However, she was not cooperative. She did become confrontational, my understanding from staff's review. And the female then reapproached the bus and removed her child from the bus at that time. We had to coach the female to give the child over to the officer and provide the child to another family member, because clearly she had committed criminal violations and was going to be criminally charged. If you speak out again, you're going to have to leave.
Am I allowed to comment up there when he's talking?
No.
No.
No, we're not going to be disrupting the meeting and doing you all drama. We're not.
I am asking.
No, I'm telling you no. I'm telling you no. No, you already had your chance to speak. Now, either you be quiet or he's going to escort you out. Plain and simple.
Fine. I'll put it on Facebook, no big deal.
Go ahead.
So the officers were able to get her to relinquish the child because she was going to come into custody. She did, I believe, to her mother or a family member. And then the officers went to take her into custody. There was a struggle that ensued. There were several officers there given the situation that it called for, and a taser was deployed. The taser is a tool that we use. It's considered a less lethal tool, and we use the taser to avoid the exacerbation of injury on all parties involved. I've had several officers get injured significantly from having struggled with individuals that resist arrest. Ultimately, what people need to understand is my team responded to the behavior and the situation that she prescribed. She drew those responses from those officers. And to continually be vilified for every single situation that they do is demoralizing and damaging. I understand that some people take exception to me on some of the things that I've been involved in. Take that exception on me. But don't vilify staff you have absolutely no knowledge or information about. All you're doing is you're destroying probably one of the greatest agencies in the Coastal Bend right now through training and demonstration of public safety services, and I can demonstrate that. So you have the facts. We release the information. We work very tight and closely with our school. Ultimately, our children and our school staff are at the pinnacle of who we are providing protection for. and we will continue to go out of our way to protect them from people that would act improperly.
Thank you. Any other comments from the public?
Hector Rios, 1044 South Commercial. Y'all know me, I'm gonna talk a little bit about the birds again. I always do. You're doing some great work, Ms. Scruggs, on trying to get some grants. That's wonderful. I'd also continue for y'all to consider some of the resale lots that we do own. There's one way up on the north side that could be a possible great area for a bird and sanctuary. And the difference between a sanctuary, it's for migrating birds, and those are the ones that are really endangered. The observatory areas that we're working on right now, that's for our residential birds that stay here all year round. It's the migrants that are really the ones that we got to watch out for. And those are the ones that we could possibly use against industry to slow down industry's encroachment in our area. If we can prove that we have some of these endangered species, then we can go up to a federal level and help get some studies. The whooping cranes, the government spends about $1 million per bird to ensure the safeties of the whooping crane, because they have to buy all the land on their migratory path. They buy it, control it, and run it. So that's why it costs basically about $1 million per bird to do this. So the government is willing to really possibly shell out some money to protect our migratory species. And I can guarantee you we do have some migratory species that are coming through here that are endangered. I saw a least tern this morning, and if y'all know what a least tern is, it's a big deal. But anyway, also on the code violations that y'all were talking about earlier, that's fantastic, and I'm hoping that maybe we can do something on some of the ones on commercial, especially since y'all are possibly considering no more residential. I'd really like to see something done on some of these places that have a lot of junk cars, heavy equipment. There's a building right over here that the roof is coming in. I mean, before we say no to possible tax dollars that we could very much use in this city, I'd really like to see something possibly done. Obviously, it's been working. That's what I take from that statement. And I'm hoping that y'all could really kind of crack down, clean up our town, clean up our drive-throughs, our entryways, before we really consider saying no to possible tax dollars and bringing that in. I was going to say something else and I forgot. Thank you for your time. God bless. Thank you for your service. I love each and every one of you.
Mayor, may I respond? Sure. So one of the things, too, to bring up that Gary didn't cover there specifically on some of those things is a while back this council enacted a thing called a fix-it citation, to where we go out, we do enforcement through education information, and then if there's no compliance, we issue a fix-it ticket. And that means it's getting real. You've got 10 days now to fix it, or you're going to have to show up to court. In many instances, these fix-it tickets have saved a lot of staff time, a lot of money, and a lot of heartache for the people. Ultimately, the goal is that compliance, and they're working. So your inaction of that has been helpful.
Carol Salinas, Aransas Pass. That building that Hector is speaking of with the roof falling down, I believe I know which one it is. It's on our main road coming through town. And I thought, I know this is comments, you can't comment, but I thought something had been enacted sometime back to have that building taken down. And I think it would be great if that had been done, if it would be done. Thank you.
Anybody else?
You need me to say something?
No, adjourn.
Okay, I make a motion to adjourn this meeting. I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Yahoo! And it's